Hey guys, it is Melissa and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Melissa Ellen. I do true crime videos. My intention is always to raise awareness on missing persons, unsolved cases. We do talk about solved cases. Usually if there's something that we can learn from it that will help with a prior or future unsolved. And then we also talk about just really crazy stories because they're intriguing and we're interested and we want to know. So that's what we do here. And if you like that kind of thing, then hit subscribe. Today, first of all, new office. So please just bear with me. Like, I know it seems like not a big deal, but like you guys are like halfway across the room now. So like, I literally now feel like I'm talking to myself. Like it was different when the camera was like right there because at least then I feel like I'm talking to you guys, but now I feel like I'm just talking to the wall. So if you see me just looking around, whatever. And if, yes, I use my hands a lot. It's nervous. It's habit. It's the only way we're going to do these videos. So thanks. Anyways, thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you hit subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. And let's go ahead and jump into today's video because it's all over the place. Kind of like me. This works. All right, let's jump into the video, guys. Okay, I'm going to start this with a very clear disclaimer that I need you guys to understand. First of all, this case is in its infancy. The majority of the information that I gathered came from the Facebook group, which is Justin for Ethan Raible Rendlen case discussion. Okay, so that's the majority of where I got my information from. There's also heavy.com already did a report. True Crime Junkie podcast, I believe it was. They already have a group. So there's a lot of really great groups, but because this is a brand new case and his body was just discovered 2 days ago, the majority of the information was in the beginning of this 2-week period where he was missing. And there was a lot of conflicting information that was shared online. So I have a feeling how this is going to go is I'm going to make this video for you guys with all of the information that I have at this point with a very clear message to you guys that this is literally based mostly on comments and what I could confirm, and I will try to tell you if it's confirmed versus comments, and I will come back with a second video once the autopsy's done, the more of the police report is released, his cause of death is released, all of that information is released, and when there's more information on his wife, then I will share that in a second video. Cool? All right. The first thing I want to do for you guys is I want to read to you a post that was written by Tatiana, who is the girlfriend, fiance, wife, don't know, of Ethan, of what was reported on Facebook, because this was actually the first thing I ever saw a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. And it was the first thing I saw that kind of made me go, what's going on? And then we'll cover what's going on with this case. On Wednesday at 2:18 a.m., Tatiana posted this post and she tagged both of Ethan's profiles in it and said that they were in Colony, Texas. My husband, since last Saturday, your girl needs glasses for this one. It says, my husband, since last Saturday. So she's explaining that they just got married. Ethan Raible is now a missing person, according to the she tagged the Colony Police Department. We were driving on Sunday to Jacob's Bell. By the way, I believe that's Jacob's Well, which is like a park with like a hot spring. Okay. To Jacob's Bell, and he briefly stopped to call his father. I was sleepy as I'm 4 months along and pregnancy makes you woozy. He got out of the car. I shortly did too. There was a small discussion. No idea what about, but this was the last time I ever saw him. The whole thing is so ridiculous. I can't believe the love of my life, my soulmate, isn't here holding me. I took a 5-minute lap around the white office space he had parked our car on, fully expecting to see him back. Nothing. Next door was one of those car wash DIY type places, full of people smoking and drinking on their cars, and they seemed to find it hilarious that all had seen him running around from gas station to gas station and bar to bar, crying, asking if anyone had seen me because he thought I had fallen off the embankment and looked hurt. I toured the gas stations and bars. 4'11" to 6. I think she's saying 5'11" to 6 foot. White, well-built, thin, but very wide, sort of muscled chest, black shirt, green or blue eyes, longish blonder hair shaved on both sides with question marks. Yeah. So she's saying this is what she said to them, like at the bar, like, hey, he's described like this. Did you see him? And they said, yeah, we saw him. He came in. He looked nervous, sad, asked if anyone saw a very, very thin, white-haired lady, then left. So she's explaining what happened. Okay. So I went back to where the car was and stayed up another hour. The same people on the car place were still there. One of them said he knew exactly where he was, and he was walking, talking gibberish through the target. There's no target there. In another post, she made reference that somebody told him that he ran towards the target. No one helped me. No one wanted to do shit. So I did the one thing I'll regret till the day I die. It was getting dark. It wasn't safe looking. My bug, she referred to Ethan as her bug, would 100% call me to pick him up once his phone ran out of juice. And once I got closer to Plano, I'd just call the police and they'd find him quick and easy. He wasn't picking up for me. So that's what I'm confused about. So his cell phone, she must be referring that his cell phone eventually died. Because I was always very clear that it said that his phone was dead and that he was using her phone. But maybe that was just conjecture. So she's saying he had his phone, but he wasn't answering for her. So then she was going to go get over to Plano and call that police department, and maybe they would call him. Then his phone did run out of juice. So his phone did die. So apparently earlier he had his own phone. Then came one at day. Didn't do shit. He just stressed taking a walk 20 plus miles away. Okay, because she's saying she went to Plano Police Department. And they told her that it was the Colony Police Department and that he's just stressed he's taking a walk. Day 2, she calls them and they said maybe he's at a hospital or maybe he took his own life. Maybe he has cold feet about getting married. She says this is what the police departments are telling her day 1 and day 2. She then says, police think he ate the Adderall bottle. Where this Adderall bottle, she says police say he thinks that he ate the Adderall bottle. But why? He had gotten a huge offer on a job. We're talking mid to high 7 figures with commission and figures. He got married and was going to be a father. 2 lifelong dreams. He would write me a letter and a song almost every day in his cubicle. He even put a poem book for the bugs. We call each other Bug or Buggy. He had no enemies. He is a brilliant genius level chemical controls engineer. Everyone loves him. We were loving Texas, closing on an 87-acre house with our own lake. He was on therapy, working out, taking his own life. I know depression is often invisible, but no. I just wish people would help me find the love of my life and father of our child. He deserves his life back. I don't give a crap what people think of me anymore. Say or think what you need to and think, but find Ethan. And if you know the media, get this on. Help. So that was the first message I saw. And now we can talk about what the world happened. Ethan, from what I understand, was in his early 30s. I saw 33, I saw 34. I also thought I saw 37, but that didn't seem right. So early 30s, and he was an engineer. He had graduated, I believe, in 2011 from a college in Illinois, and he was working as an engineer. It does appear from his friends that have confirmed that he did have a drug problem. It is not confirmed if that was current, according to his wife. Which we're going to get into that in a second because I keep saying wife because it's wife, all right, that he was currently struggling with a drug problem. Now, there are posts on Instagram that definitely talk about them using, or her, the wife, smoking marijuana, but I don't know what more there is how much of a drug issue this was. And we're going to get into that. And the thing is that I can't confirm that he was a current drug addict or whether or not he currently just socially might have experimented or messed around with drugs, or if he was a hardcore user. And I'm not comfortable saying that he appeared to be a hardcore user. I know there's functioning drug addicts in this world, but he had a job. He was there. His work was checking on him. They cared about him. I just don't see that he was like this full-on heroin addict, which is what some people were saying. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, there were some people in the Facebook group, I'm not going to put it up because what's the point, who shared his arrest record. And he did, in the past, have quite a lengthy criminal record having to do with drugs, a little bit of violence, some theft, things along those lines. But again, it was pretty well into the past. Okay, so currently it appears, I believe in 2015, again, please remember guys, if I make a mistake, I'm sorry. This is new, this is fresh, and there are because it's all coming from comments and people going back and forth, it's really annoying, but sometimes people will be like, oh yeah, so they started dating in 2015, and you're like, oh cool, and then like 3 comments down, like, no they didn't, they met in 2013. No they didn't, they just met a year ago. Like, that's what happens. So like, I try to go off of when there's multiple comments. So I did find that their first official picture was taken in 2015. It was posted on social media, and then there were some, he had changed his relationship status on Facebook, which I'm going to post all of those. And that started in 2015. And when I say all of those, it's because they had an on and off again relationship. There were, I believe there's 7 of them, and I'll put them up for you guys, kind of in order of where they would put in a relationship, single, got engaged, got married, got engaged, in a relationship, married, in a relationship. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so were you married? Because there's a lot of posts from his wife, and her name is Tatiana Barber. I don't know how to say her last name. I apologize. And it was spelled a couple of different ways on all of her social media. Her social media, she has a lot. A lot. I always wonder if I'm gone, like if something happens to me, like you're going to find that I have a social media profile on every single platform there is out there. But literally, I just have one, and it has my name, Melissa Ellen. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? There's maybe old profiles with my actual last name, but like, honestly, like I don't have, they're there. She has a lot of profiles, more than what I consider to be the average person on what social media platforms they join. And honestly, I belong to all of these because of YouTube, because I've done it in the past for so many years. So I don't know, it's kind of weird. And on all of these platforms, there's several different names. So I'll put some screenshot clips coming of some of the names. That being said, I am aware, I'm a smart girl, and I know that people do make fake profiles. I do know that you might make a profile one time and then you forget the password, so then you had to make another one. Like, there's all kinds of like legitimate reasons of why someone could have this many platforms. Also, some things came out about Tatiana. There are some people that have been sharing in the groups about her past, and I was trying to think of the way to sum this up. The people that are posting, and I'm not going to put in their names because you guys can go do that research if you want, are sharing things that they view Tatiana as kind of a con artist and a scam artist. That she started a ton of groups, and they were groups for people with eating disorders, people for groups with bullying. I believe she had Addison's. At one point in time, she had cancer. Lay down, honey. Okay. All right. Try to lay her down. That's not going to happen. She wants to sit up. So the way that these friends explained her, there's actually a post from one of the friends, and I'll put it up without her name. And she goes on and she's telling her entire experience of having Tatiana as a friend. Apparently, they met through some of these social media sites, and Tatiana was always sharing her story about her family and how she was born in Croatia and she was coming here and she was a medical student, and it's very lengthy, just this very long, heartache backstory. And eventually Tatiana needed a place to come, and she ended up coming to the States to stay with this girl. Or no, she was already here, and then she went to stay with her. Yeah, I'm going to mess that up. I'll put it up for you. Let me find it. Okay, so let's talk about the friend. So inside of the Facebook group, there is a friend that apparently some other friends got together. So When Tatiana used to be involved in these groups, she created kind of a circle of people that were friends and people that were not friends, and it created kind of groups of opinions. So apparently, there's a group of people that are not fond of a lot of the things that Tatiana had done in the past. And this was all in the 2009, 2010, 2011 time frame. So this is a couple years before she met Ethan. According to these friends, they became friends with her on these groups. There was some problems with people bullying each other. I'm not going to get into all the details. If you want to join the group and actually read the entire post, you can do that and kind of see. It's a very lengthy story. Like, I couldn't stop reading it though. Talking about how Tatiana was dealing with PTSD. She was dealing with eating disorders. She was dealing with health issues. She had cancer. She was adopted. Like, it's just these very, 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 a lot to the story. And as a result of that, one of the girls ended up letting her come to stay with her. And then she told her that she had been abused by her husband. So she was coming, but then she ended up bringing a boyfriend. And then that boyfriend got a job and was supporting her because she was just not doing anything. And then she ditched that boyfriend and ended up going back to a guy she had cheated with. Like, it was a whole mess of problems. But what the girl was explaining is, like, because honestly, that could have just been somebody was having a bad time in their life. You know what I mean? They could have just been going through some stuff. But she was explaining that what she recognized from all of this that she was dealing with is that she felt that Tatiana was very manipulative and pushing people to support her, to take care of her. She wanted attention. She felt that she spent an excessive amount of time online interacting with other people and engaging them and bullying them and causing problems. She felt that she would gather information from people, like in private, about their personal life or what they were dealing with. And then she would take that information and use it against them if she didn't like them anymore. That is their opinion of what was happening, but it kind of gave you an idea of what was Tatiana they felt was doing at the time. This is all just speculation. Are we clear? I don't know this girl. There is, I can't confirm this, but it's one person's account. So she and Ethan met in 2015, and then you see this up and down relationship where they're in and out of each other's Facebook. It's just all very weird. But again, they could have just had a relationship that was kind of rocky, and that's how they handled things, right? Tatiana also claimed that she was in medical school. Now, this went all the way back to 2009, 2010, 2011, where these people she was hanging out said that she was informing them that she was already in medical school, that she had 2 years left, that she was in medical school. I believe there was talks about Johns Hopkins and another University of Illinois maybe. But there was talks that she was supposedly going to these colleges and she was going to be a doctor. And she was right there at the end of school. I found other posts that she had posted throughout the years saying the same thing, that she was 2 years away, that she was going to be a doctor. I'll put what I found up for you guys. This also, the story is so all over the place, it's hard to where to insert this. One of the things I noticed when I was going through her Instagram and looking at photos, there's these pictures, this one particular picture, and it's Ethan standing in a living room. And it is a nice living room, badass fireplace. And the caption makes it say she's saying it's her house, it's their house, luxury living. I'll put it up for you guys. But then a couple months later, it's our first townhouse, and it's nothing wrong with it. It's a nice little townhouse, but honestly, it's not a luxury anyway. It's just a regular apartment complex. There's nothing fancy about it. And not that there's anything wrong with that. It's as nice as my house, but it wasn't luxury living. And it was so confusing because they had this nice Porsche, and then she'd be posting pictures of their Instagram pictures, with a designer purse and nails and jewelry. And it's it's very confusing. Were they rich? Rich? But then some of the posts don't make sense. So I was digging in, and what I can figure out is that apparently, according to some sources, Tatiana is a millionaire. And according to other sources, she gets a very small stipend out of her inheritance from her uncle in Brazil. And she says that she gets like 4,200 or 4,500 a month, but then it's so weird because they're broke. And then she's posting she was interacting with someone, and I can't post it because it's not mine, but she was interacting with another true crime. It's True Crime Junkie, because you'll see it if you go into any of the groups. And so I think they're going to do a podcast, which would be amazing. I can't wait to hear it. And like they're talking about the case and her missing husband, and she's like talking about how she doesn't have a place to live. And I'm like, is she asking them for money? Like it kind of is what it felt like to me, but that's just my opinion. Because if it were me, like if I'm talking to somebody about their missing spouse and they even mention to me where they live, I'm like, do you care? Like, go find your spouse. Like, I don't care where I live. I'm going to live in my car until I find my husband. You know what I mean? Kind of like it's weird. Anyways, so everything about her is just confusing. I saw a post where she's talking about how she can't wait to be successful so she can bring her daughter. So there's a daughter that's being raised by someone else, and bring her mother from Brazil. I'll find it. I will make sure it's up for you guys. But then when she was responding with the True Crime Junkie podcast, she says, I don't have any living parents. But then I saw somewhere that she was adopted. So is that what she's talking about? But like, if you're saying to someone, hey, why don't you reach out to your family? Are they helping you? And you have adopted mother that is your adopted mother, you would not respond to someone, I don't have any living parents. Maybe I missed something though. So if I missed something in that, please let me know down below. So now you guys have an idea of the type of relationship that they were in. I wish I really understood. From what I gather, they lived together. They had some on and offs. He was working as an engineer, and she had health issues, so she was not working. But she received this inheritance that came in, as well as his income. Honestly, they should have been living pretty well. So let's go ahead and talk about the timeline of events that led up to his disappearance. This information is culminated from all of the different resources, and this was put together by the Justice for Ethan group. So this gives a timeline based on what they were able to confirm, and I'm just going to go based on that because it does seem to make sense. What we do know, and this comes from the Justice for Ethan group, is that Ethan had a friend by the name of Phil, and Phil is being very helpful and trying to get information in regards to this case and helping out with the group and trying to help his friend. We do know that on Tuesday the 9th, Ethan had placed a call to his friend Phil, something about having troubles with Tatiana's uncle. Now, the only thing we can figure out, because it was a voicemail, and he did say something about wanting to punch him in the face, is we're assuming that it's Tatiana's uncle in Brazil, and we're assuming, this is so bad, that the uncle in Brazil controls the money that Tatiana's receiving. So it's possible that it had something to do with the money that Tatiana receives. There is a lot of speculation that they were trying to buy a home. She says this, okay? There's posts that Tatiana has posted to infer to this, and I'm going to try to insert the list of what I saved. This is the most screenshots I've ever saved for any case, hands down. Literally, it's so full. So I'll try to insert the right one at the right time. She says things about them, they're finally making it. There's a business investment in some company that they are buying a house. They're getting acres. Like things are just going amazingly well monetarily. So there is speculation that something might have been going on with the uncle. There's theory that he didn't want them to buy the house they were going to buy or do the business they were going to do. Something was going on because he didn't want to give them money. Just speculation. Again, I have no idea why he left that voicemail, and Phil doesn't know either because they hadn't spoke. On Friday the 12th, it is confirmed that Tatiana and Ethan did buy 2 cell phones. They bought them from a friend. They were with T-Mobile, and they got new cell phone numbers, but this was that, like, they bought them from a friend. They didn't buy them at a store because people were asking, like, where's their surveillance of that? But there is none. They bought it from a friend. And apparently that same night, Ethan's phone died, and he didn't have a charger with him, so he hadn't charged it yet. On Saturday the 13th, now I want to say this now. According to Tatiana, Ethan had been on a bender since Thursday. So somehow he went to work on Thursday, started a bender, went to work on Friday, and then continued his bender. During this, he went and bought phones as well. On Saturday, the 13th, now this is where it gets a little interesting. Tatiana and Ethan they have said they're married. And here's the thing, don't get me wrong. My boyfriend is actually my boyfriend, and we are not married yet. And there's a reason, and we'll get there. It's complicated. But I am also almost 40 years old. So yeah, like when I call to talk to a business person on the phone, and like if we're buying something, like, yeah, I say my husband because I feel like a weirdo saying my boyfriend. Do y'all ever see Sex in the City, the movie? My man friend. But like, I don't go on Facebook and be like, got married, got engaged, because we're not. Like, that's like serious. And they would like, there's so many posts about how they were going to get married, how they got married. Like, it's like they literally kept saying they were married. And I guess because in Texas, you can have a civil marriage, but you still get married. Like, you have a moment. And it's just, apparently, according to Tatiana, they might have gotten married on the 13th or had a civil ceremony on Saturday the 13th. Now, on Saturday the 14th, according to this timeline, according to Tatiana, they ate somewhere and had food. They went to a Mexican restaurant, and she described it as being authentic. Now, Tatiana claims that she is pregnant. She's in her first trimester or 4 months, because that 4 months is your second trimester. But anyways, she had said she was 4 months, but then she says she's in her first trimester. And for some reason, she was really woozy from being pregnant. And she can't quite remember what happened that day. I have never forgotten what happened in a day while pregnant. And if I ever had, I would have went to a hospital immediately. You get tired, but you don't forget things. But again, there are some people who are different, and pregnancy just is really rough on them. So she says that they ate somewhere, they had authentic Mexican food. She then says that they went to Kroger and they purchased prenatal vitamins. So Kroger is a grocery store, and they purchased prenatal vitamins because she's pregnant. And then they proceeded to pick up his prescriptions. The prescriptions are going to be the next thing that is going to be confusing. There is a lot of conversation about what prescriptions he picked up. And because the news and the police have not released this information, or the news doesn't have it because police haven't released it, this is not confirmed. According to Tatiana, he picked up 2 prescriptions. One was for Adderall, and one was for a drug by the name of Clonidine. Clonidine. Okay, I got it. Thanks, Google. You ever use that feature? Like, if you don't know how to pronounce something, you can ask Siri, or you can go on YouTube. Do you know that there are people who literally all they do is make videos of how to pronounce words? Genius. Genius. Literally, that's what do you do for a living? Oh, I make YouTube videos about how to pronounce words. It's same as what do you do for a living? I make true crime videos. People think I'm crazy. So, according to Tatiana, he picked up 2 prescriptions. One was for Adderall and one was for Clonidine. Now, this is where it starts getting all muddy. There are 2 different reasons he could have been prescribed these medications: ADHD or withdrawals from drug abuse. I'm sure there's other reasons. I believe that there's blood pressure. There's a bunch of different reasons, but these are the main reasons that make sense for what people would be prescribed this. The theory is that, and this comes from some friends and kind of people kind of putting things together, is that his doctor was prescribing him the Adderall, but he was also subscribing them the Clonidine to counteract some of the effects of the Adderall. So basically making sure he wasn't using the Adderall as a drug for getting high or for pleasure, and more for what it's supposed to be for, to help him with whatever it was. That is the theory. And a lot of people say this is very common. If you have a drug history, or your doctor suspects that, or you've had issues with using different doctors, any of those things that would trigger a doctor to be aware of what medications you're taking, a doctor will prescribe a secondary medication to help counteract the high effects. And the doctor will make sure that you are filling both of those prescriptions. Because let's say my doctor gave it to me and I only wanted the Adderall, then I would only fill the Adderall. But typically, if you're an addict and you know your doctor's watching you, you fill both. Here's what happened. According to Tatiana, he filled the prescription of both. And he threw away the clonidine at a store that they were at, saying that he didn't need it. So either A, he didn't want that medication because he didn't like the effects of it. B, he didn't want it to kill his high. Or C, which is some people believe that he was just throwing his medication away because he was possibly going to do something to himself. It's all literally conjecture and speculation because we don't know for sure. What we do know is he for sure filled the clonidine because he threw away the bottle with the pills in it at the clothing store that they went to on Saturday the 14th. After they went to Kroger and got prenatal vitamins, they then went to a clothing store. And at this clothing store, it is reported that Tatiana, and this is according to a store employee, they actually shared a receipt. They said that they threw away the bottle. They don't want to violate HIPAA laws of privacy protection for anything medical, so they don't want to share a picture of the bottle. But I believe, and I really saw that this was confirmed, that they are turning that over to police. But yeah, there was a bottle of these pills, but there was not a bottle of Adderall. According to Tatiana, he kept the bottle of Adderall with him and threw this one away. So a lot of people believe that's because he wanted the Adderall, but he didn't want the other one, because the clonidine puts you to sleep. It makes you drowsy. It relieves anxiety. It makes you more, relaxed and calm. There are a lot of people, though, also believe that he was done with his bender that Tatiana said he'd been on for the 4 days, and so he just didn't need it anymore. There's also people who believe he threw it away because he didn't want her taking it. It's a lot. According to the employees at the store by the name of Cato, C-A-T-O, they are at this store on Saturday the 14th around 2 p.m. They checked out at 2:58 p.m. And they're in the store, and the employees actually took a picture of them. And the reason they took a picture of them is they felt that Tatiana was kind of acting a little weird. The picture is her literally wearing black pants and a bra, like out in the store holding clothes. She came in a sequin dress. So that means she came in a sequin dress, grabbed clothing, walked into a fitting room and started trying on clothes, and then came out half dressed to get more clothes to try on. So maybe if this was like a tiny little boutique, I don't walk out of stores or out of dressing rooms half naked, but that's neither here or there. They said, according to these employees, that she was acting high and that he was being calm and quiet and appeared sober, and that they did the clothing and that she bought new clothes, a shirt and a pair of shorts. I'll put up a picture of the shirt that she bought, and she changed into that, and then they left. And then there's also a receipt of everything that they bought. It was a female clothing store, so you'll see that it is all just female clothing, obviously bought for Tatiana. Now, just to be clear, she was in a sequin dress and heels. She claimed that she had wore it to get married, but then they claimed they got married the day before. After they leave the clothing store, so they leave the clothing store at 2:58 p.m., a couple hours later, they stop to get gas. So they had been traveling away from where they live. I believe that the intention was they were headed to Jacob's Well. I had to look into this because I swear one of her posts said they were going to Jacob's Bell. And I was like, where's Jacob's Bell? So then I had to look, and I believe it's Jacob's Well, which is like a hot spring. I'm probably so wrong. But I tried to research this, and I was asking people, and apparently it's like an area people go travel, like a park, which was confusing because people didn't understand if they were headed to this park, the park closes. I don't know. Maybe they just were like, whatever, we're just going to a closed park, whatever. They're traveling. At about 6:45, they stop and get gas, and then they're seen at a car wash. So there's, from what I can figure out, gas station, road with like trees and an embankment and dirt, and then car wash, I believe. It's either that or road and embankment, car wash, gas station. I'll see if I can pull it up to make it make sense. Okay, I went back and looked, and I can't tell for sure. I had to put Miley down. She's like, so in case anybody's noticed, I've got some new tattoos going on. My husband My boyfriend is actually finishing my sleeve for me. So, anyways, I'll post pictures on Instagram if you guys are interested in this whole creation. Anyways, Miley was making it itch. So I went and I looked on the map, and there is a self-service gas station, which is, we're going to talk about a lot of that, of where they were at. And it's called the Rainy Days Car Wash, and it's located in Carlton, which is about 17-minute drive from the clothing store that they were at. So they're spotted there a couple hours ago. And it's one of those old style where there's just like vacuums and water, and you just go and you self-wash your own car. So they're there, and next to it is a gas station. And then there's a big road with like the embankment and the trees and everything. And then on the other side of that, there's another gas station. From the way I'm understanding the story, I believe they were at the 7-Eleven getting gas. And then what happened from there is at some point in time, they get into an argument. I think they start driving again. They get into some sort of an argument. Now remember, Tatiana can't really remember because she's woozy because she's pregnant. And he stops the car and decides that he needs to call his father. And she decides that she needs to go for a walk. So she's going to walk around, but she calls it the white cubicle that the car was parked on. So I'm thinking she's referring to the parking space. But she takes a 5-minute walk. I'm not even going to get into that. So she takes this like 5-minute walk, and she comes back and realizes that Ethan's gone. I'm going to tell you, this part sounds incredibly sketchy, but it's been confirmed, okay? She then starts going, she goes over to the car wash because it's Saturday night and there's people out there hanging out. It's like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. They're out there hanging out, and she's asking them, they're like, yeah, we saw him. According to her post, they were laughing at him and because he was running around crazily erratic, looking for, and as she put, a very, very skinny blonde girl, because it was important to make sure that we all know she's skinny. But I don't want to make fun of her for that, because obviously she does have an eating disorder. It's just, people's character flaws really come through. When something is happening, like her husband is missing, she's still more worried about making sure she's appeasing her own self-doubt in herself. And I don't understand, if you're really in despair and you're really worried about someone, you don't worry about yourself anymore. You talk about them. And it was just a really weird catch that I saw that I thought, man, she's just really disturbed. Because that's not a healthy statement to worry about putting the fact that you're very, very thin when it's supposed to be about talking about your missing husband. So she said that these people were telling her that he was running around erratic, that he was looking for her, and that he was worried that she had fallen down the embankment and that he was looking for her. She then went to a bar to look for him, and she made sure to explain to them how he looked. And just her description of him was kind of off. He was kind of muscly. It was odd. But then it could also be odd behavior from someone that is just trying to express what they're worried about, and they're frantic. She's looking everywhere for him. She can't find him. People are telling him that he's looking for her. And she says that, because remember, this road is a big road. So now she's like out here on the corner at this like 4-way intersection, just looking for him and can't find him. And she realizes that it's getting dark. It's not a great area to be in. There's all these people out and about. And she decides that she wants to get back in her car and drive home. And her thought was that he would walk home, which they were hours from home, so he would have taken him days to get home. I do have to confirm. I'm a little confused on where they actually live, because from Plano, which is like where the colony is and where all of this was going on, is only about 45 minutes to an hour from Dallas. But I guess like Dallas is big, so like I don't know where they lived near Dallas, so maybe clear on the other side is a couple hours away. I'm a little confused of where they were headed to. But anyways, this is on Saturday night. She heads back home. She does state that while she was still in the colony or Plano, Texas, I guess this is all really close to each other, while she's by this car wash, and she does call police. I have not seen records of that. I have not seen her. She did not share a screenshot of that call to the police department or 911, and the police have not confirmed that call. She also said that when she got back to Dallas that she made another phone call to the police. And according to her, she was basically told, well, he's grown, he's an adult. If he wants to leave, he can leave. There's nothing we can do. I do know that that is, I mean, obviously, if I called the police right now and I said, my boyfriend left, they'd be like, okay, well, where'd he go? I don't know, he left. They'd be like, okay, well, he's grown. He can do what he wants. But if I were to call them and say, hey, my boyfriend and I stopped on the side of the road and we got out of the car for a minute and I can't find him anymore. I'm worried about him. Like, I feel like they would have responded. They would not have said, sucks to suck, buttercup. Somebody's in danger. They've fallen. They've gotten hurt. Someone's taken them. Very different circumstance. So I'm not really sure. The next day, she does officially report him missing. And the Colony Police Department handles the investigation of what's going on. Now, the police department does what they can, but they were given a lot of information that this was his choice and that he didn't want to be found, and that apparently there were statements made, which we don't know what they are. This was in an email that a lieutenant sent back to a friend of the case, letting them know why they weren't doing things like pulling cell phone records, surveillance, anything like, further deep investigation, was because they were given information that he made statements that he didn't want to be found, and basically that they felt he was going to harm himself and it was his choice, and that they couldn't really do much because he's an adult. Okay, so also on Tuesday the 16th at 3 p.m., Tatiana actually sent a message to his mother, Lauren. That's when she alerted her that basically the text messages are so weird. But I think what she's trying to say is that she was worried that Ethan wasn't found because she assumed he must be walking back to Dallas, which would take him 3 days, and it's very windy, and he didn't have his shoes on. But again, according to Tatiana, she is pregnant. She is woozy, she is struggling, and she is frantic. She also suffers with mental illness. So this is the part where I have to go, okay, hold on then. If she does not have any sort of mental illness whatsoever, then her behavior makes no sense. But if she is struggling with something, then a lot of this starts to make sense, because he went missing on the 14th. He's reported missing on the 15th. It is also confirmed that she went back to the area where the clothing store was and was in the area looking for him. I'm confused if she was by herself. Did she get a search party? But there's an anonymous confirmation that she was in the area. There's also an anonymous, I don't know about this one because this doesn't make sense. There's also an anonymous confirmation that she was at the T-Mobile store asking about her boyfriend, but they bought the phones from a friend. So maybe the thought was maybe he might have went in there to charge his phone or something. So maybe he might have went in there or to get a new phone. But that somebody said that they saw her in there asking about her missing boyfriend. She did not post on Facebook until July 17th. So 3 days later, she posts in Facebook that her husband is missing. She then goes on to a bunch of Facebook groups and is posting in there. She's posting to the local news. And then some of her Facebook started going quiet. I think she started getting some comments from people. And on July 21st, so now 6 days later, she claims that she's in the hospital because she had an overdose on melatonin pills. If you're not familiar with melatonin, by the way, I did not even think you could overdose, but I guess you could technically. Melatonin is a natural supplement. It's a vitamin. Whatever. You take melatonin to help you sleep, but it's not like Tylenol PM. It doesn't zonk you. It's natural. It's supposed to be safer. It's like you buy it at the Walmart, like in the little gummies or little pills, like they're melatonin. It's a natural supplement. I use them all the time. They do not put me to sleep, but I do get a better night's sleep. You can use it for children. Like, it's a safe option. So according to her, she has an overdose of melatonin and she ended up being hospitalized. But then that day or the next day, it is reported that she was taken to a mental health facility. It gets really confusing because she commented on someone and is like, hey, I'm at this place. with a room number, but the room number didn't match. That's where it was up until 2 days ago. She was in a mental health facility. All right, so if you wanted to get into some like nitty gritty, then join the Facebook group because this one's really crazy. I am not going to give too many details on it, like personal details. There's a woman who claims that she has been in the mental institution with Tatiana during this time. I think she was there with her for like 3 to 5 days. And this woman was there and she actually posted like her own record, which she did not need to do to prove herself. But it seems that is 100% legitimate. She says she was there and that Tatiana came up to her and was like talking to her, and that Tatiana was telling her about her missing husband and even wrote the name on a Post-it note so that this girl, who was actually very interested, it's in from her area, she's hearing about this girl's in a mental hospital because her husband's missing. And so she obviously takes the name down and she comes home and looks it up and she finds this group. And she's like, yeah, hey, actually, I've been talking to this girl at the mental hospital. And people are like, no, there's no way. And she's like, yeah, like, I was there with her. Like, she wrote her husband's name for me. Like, I'm looking this up because of it. And she gave a lot of information that just really goes to show that I just feel that Tatiana is very disturbed. It is really confusing. Is she pregnant? Is she not pregnant? There are so many posts on Facebook and Instagram and on her social medias over the last 4 years about her being pregnant and then not being pregnant, not being pregnant. What I can gather based from Ethan's Facebook is that she has a daughter that lives elsewhere and that they were possibly pregnant at one point in time and that pregnancy did not, apparently she had a miscarriage. That's what I think and what I can gather. But there's like all these times where literally a year ago she was posting saying they were going to have a baby in 8 months, but that doesn't appear to timeline with the miscarriage, which I believe happened the year prior. It's very confusing. And I don't want to judge anybody for that. So what I'm wondering is she just all over the place? Is she confused? Is she just struggling? So then the question is, what happened to Ethan? On July 29th, so 2 days ago at 10 a.m., it'll be 3 days ago because I'll post this in 2 days. On July 29th at around 10 a.m., Ethan's body was discovered. It was in the wooded area outside of the car wash, exactly where they were. Now, this area is slightly big, but it's not huge at all. If my husband had went missing next to the car wash, I would have found him. Nothing has been released in regards to his body, his condition, his cause of death, the investigation. There's no information. So far, his death has just been labeled as undetermined. The embankment is confusing to me. The photos that have been posted by people local to the area. So like I can Google map it, but I can't see depth to tell you if you could fall down a hill. Everyone who sees this embankment is like, no, you would not pass away from falling down this. Like, it's not steep enough. It doesn't make sense. The speculation is that he actually did have the Adderall with him at the time and that he might have taken it and caused his own passing. I apologize, guys, by the way, in case you don't catch on. If you don't watch other people's true crime videos, I have to be a lot more careful about the words that I choose. I am not in this to make money, but it would be nice if I made some money. But there are certain words that if I even say them, I make zero right out the gates. And I'd rather just not make money because the video, I don't know. Anyways, so there are words I'm not using. And that is why. So the question is whether did he cause his own passing or did something happen to him and then he went down the embankment? Did he get caused to go down the embankment? Like, nobody knows. This is where it's all up in the air. I was asked by a couple people, unpopular. There was like 3, what my opinion was on this case, and I just had to be honest. I don't know yet. It's one of 2 things. Either Tatiana set him up and caused harm to him, maybe for money that we don't know about yet. We don't even know if they were legally married. Maybe she set him up for something like that. Maybe she was actually the one who was on the bender because, again, we don't know if she claims she was sober. So either she was strung out and has no idea, she was having a mental health crisis and has no idea, or this is all this big elaborate game and manipulation by her to just cause all this drama and heartache, and something happened to him and she's covering it with all these stories, or she caused something to happen to him and she's covering it with all these stories. So I'm all over the place because the one thing that I don't know for sure is what her mental health really was. There's nobody that's been able to tell for sure if she was an active current drug addict or if she was really suffering from actual mental health issues, and these weren't all just lies. Again, at the end of the day, though, if somebody makes up this many lies about their life, about being in medical school, about being pregnant, about getting married, about family, just so much, even if they are making up all of that, then they're still struggling with a mental health issue. They're struggling with something. They're not confident. They don't feel good. They feel that that's the only way that they can make friends or get attention. And that's still, at the end of the day, a mental health issue. So what I can tell you is that I honestly do feel from the bottom of my heart that Tatiana struggles from something. And she's self-reported so many diagnoses that I don't know what's true or not. But she's obviously struggling with something. And I don't want to be the person that is accusing her of actually causing him harm on purpose. But I am 100% convinced that she's not telling the truth. There are missing information, and we need to know that. What will decide it for me will be his cause of death. If he died from an overdose, then obviously this wasn't inflicted by her. And the worst I could say is that she left him, or because she didn't know what to do, or she left him because she couldn't find him. If harm was caused to him, then absolutely, I think she did it. And if she caused him harm and then made up all of this, then no, I'm not going for mental health. I'm saying you're manipulative and you murdered someone. Like, that's where it's going to go for me personally. But I need more information. So I'm curious what you guys think. This video is already like 45 minutes long, and there's still so much more that I could be including. I'm pretty sure there's going to be pop-ups. So anything that I forgot to say, I will there might be notes that pop up, and I'll add at the end of this. So that's what I have for you guys today. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for watching my videos, for continuing to support my channel. I really appreciate it, guys. I hope that we just continue to grow. Like, I really, really like doing this for you guys. So thank you again. Do me a favor, hug your babies, hug your loves. Life is literally precious. And I will see you guys in my next video.